I'm 43 and I've lived a relatively unhealthy lifestyle and life, and so I decided I'm going to turn back the hands of time. And so I switched doctors, and I'm going to take you on this journey. I joined an athletic competition, and I'm going to take you on that journey too. It's a journey of health. Let's do this together. You even get to see how much I weigh. Today, and thank you for joining us here at Kandit News in our studios here on the 7th floor of the DNA building in Hagåtña, Guam. I'm Troy Torres with Kandit News, and joining me today, we're going to get straight into it. We have coming back to our studios FEMA spokesperson here on Guam, Veronica Verde, USSBA's spokesman here on Guam, Kevin Wynn, and with the American Red Cross here on Guam is Kim Males. Thank you so much. Very nice to meet you, by the way.
Very nice to meet you, too.
Thank you so much for coming back. This is me without hair product. It's a very hot day.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to tell you, this is just going to be a casual conversation.
Okay.
There's nothing formal about this. These guys are already laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
These guys have been working so hard. I'm not going to waste any of their time with any more jokes or any formalities, and let's just get straight into it. Veronica, a bunch of people are saying they applied either online or over the phone, and they say they got denied. Can you talk to us about that? And what are some of these the solutions you might have?
Yes, one of the things about the ineligible letter that they may be receiving, it doesn't mean that individuals have been denied. It could very well be that they have outstanding documents they still need to provide to FEMA. One, it could be insurance information, it could be proof of ownership, it could very well be identification. We work to try to get to a yes. So one of the things that we want individuals to do is to either call us at 1-800-621-3362, talk to somebody on the phone. We're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on our helpline. We want individuals to be able to reach out to our folks out there to talk about what their case is. So an ineligible letter does not mean that it's been denied. If they continue reading the rest of the letter, it'll show what may be missing. And so we want to make sure that people understand that it's not a denial, but people can also visit the Disaster Recovery Center. They could go to talk to somebody one-on-one to either provide that either proof of insurance or if they have identification that's needed, and whatever that documentation that's still lacking to complete their form or to complete their application, they can do so by also going to the Disaster Recovery Center.
That's what I would want to do. Actually, if I were going to apply, I just like that person to person. And is it easier that way? Because Peter Turlaw, he told me this morning, it was a 15-minute intake processing and no line at the Guam Congress building.
Oh, that's great. I mean, people have an opportunity. What we don't want is at the disaster recovery centers, a lot of people have been going to the disaster recovery centers that are open. Some of them are long lines at times at Guam City College, and I also know at the Deo sports complex. And we don't want people to have to wait in line if they could maybe make a call to the comfort of their home. But if they do have a lot of paperwork and they want to find out and they've gotten this ineligible letter, they can absolutely go into our centers and talk to somebody one-on-one. And I think that might be able to also help that applicant, because a lot of times it takes us time to go through each of the applications or go through what people are there to see FEMA representatives. And we do want to take the time to hear their story, because a lot of times we're maybe the first face that they've seen in a while, especially regarding disaster assistance. And we will be able to explain that to them once they visit our center. So we want them to come and visit us. More recovery centers are opening, and so while we have staff there, we definitely want people to come in.
Amy Jackson says, and by the way, viewers, if you have a question you want me to ask one of our friends here, please just put it in the comments. I'll try to get to it. Amy Jackson says, also, you can get denied for one thing, but not everything, especially if you apply for multiple benefits, i.e. car, child care, miscellaneous.
So, again, I think we spoke about this right in the beginning. When people want to apply for federal assistance, especially regarding the typhoon, they call the 1-800-621-3362. They get into the system. They, depending also on insurance, depending on what they're seeking as far as damages, they may be eligible for for some of our programs. We provide rental assistance. We also provide repair and replacement for homes, because we want people to try to get back into their homes as quickly as possible. In the letter, the ineligible letter, if they've already received a letter of eligibility, in other words, they have filed with FEMA, FEMA inspector has out to see them, and now they have a letter of eligibility. Here's a dollar amount that you're going to be receiving. If they feel that that's not enough, they can always appeal, and that's also part of the eligibility letter. So if individuals feel that there was more damages that they felt than what was provided, they can also appeal with more information. Hey, you know what? Here's my receipts. Here's more photos, and here's more damages.
Yeah, I got a complaint from someone who said that they applied for, I think, food replacement, and they got $291 worth, but they threw out way more than $290. Anyway, so they can appeal. Okay, thank you. Good to know. There are questions coming in for you, Veronica, but before we get to this, I'll come back to our round two with you. I want to move on to Kevin. Kevin, U.S. Small Business Administration, yes? My volume? I'm sorry, say it again? Oh, is it not? I'm not getting anything. No, I'm not getting any. Folks, in the comments, please let us know if you're having trouble with the feed. No, there's no one in the comments saying anything about the feed. Yeah. So, we'll move on. Kevin, with U.S. Small Business Administration, our small business is winning. What's going on?
They are, and Troy, thank you for having us again, Veronica, myself, because we always take time out of our day to get over here because it gets the word out to the folks. We had a very robust opening Saturday due to being on this show. I could tell you that about the 20 business owners that did come into the thing, about half of them mentioned that they had seen me and Veronica on the show. So we appreciate your patronage.
No, thank you so much for coming here. We really appreciate you talking to our audiences.
But it's been, like I said, it's been very robust. A lot of business owners on Saturday. Monday has followed up as well. Our customer service representatives are busy all day long. They're there 9 to 6 at the First Hawaiian Bank building on Route 8. And just come on in. They're on the 3rd floor. More than happy to help you. Air-conditioned building. The wait time is not as bad as it is at the Disaster Recovery Center. So if you're a small business, come on over there. You don't really have to wait too long, and our customer service reps will go through your entire application to get it done completely the first time. It filed. The quicker it's filed completely, they can get onto the road to recovery. As I mentioned, I think in the first show, it takes a little bit longer for businesses because we recognize that they need to get their financials in order, and that takes 14 to 21 days that they'll start getting electronic fund deposits into their accounts to get that business up and running again. But it's been a great first couple days with that Business Recovery Center, and we've actually added some customer service representatives over there, Troy, to help with the volume of business owners coming in. They're just real happy that we're there, and we also help homeowners and renters there as well.
Okay. Are you getting a whole standby before Zach? We're recording this show onto the system, right? Just in case. Okay, thank you. So, talk to us about homeowners and renters.
The homeowners and renters can go there as well. They can meet face-to-face, one-on-one. But as we've talked about before, the Disaster Recovery Center, Troy, is a one-stop shop location for all the disaster recovery. So they can go to register with FEMA at the Disaster Recovery Center, come over to SBA. Maybe there's some other agencies there as well. So homeowners and renters can come to the BRC, but there are no FEMA representatives there. But they can still apply with SBA after they've registered, of course, with FEMA, as we've mentioned, 800-621-3362 or disasterassistance.gov.
Thank you so much, Kevin. No one seems to have any questions from you, so you guys must be doing a bang good job with whatever your processes are. So thanks, Kim. So a whole bunch of the conversation today on Guam has been about food in the shelters, and American Red Cross does not run the shelters. It's run by the Guam Department of Education. They brought you guys in, and you guys are volunteering to provide hot meals to the shelteries. Can you talk to us about what's going on there, and also what else the American Red Cross is doing here?
The Red Cross is supporting these shelters. The Red Cross is providing 2 meals a day for all shelter residents for all 3 of the open shelters at this time. We've also begun mobile feeding today, which is where we take hot meals, we put them on emergency response vehicles, and they canvass through the neighborhoods and begin distributing food. And that program will ramp up at the days to come. In addition to that, we're opening another shelter, which will be a Red Cross managed shelter for a larger population. We're preparing that shelter now, and we'll announce the location and the opening here in the next 2 or 3 days.
Oh, that's excellent, because there have been a bunch of people who've been applying to, or actually just going to the shelters, trying to get into the shelters since the typhoon passed. And for whatever reason, and it's for another show, but they're not being admitted. And so people who've lost their homes basically are the ones who've been, are those the sorts of people who...
Yes, anyone that needs shelters. The American Red Cross is completely independent, and we serve all peoples, nationality, faith, whatever. And so they'll be welcome at this shelter. This shelter will be a Red Cross managed shelter, and so we will provide those assistance to those people. But in addition, we're doing all sorts of other things all over the island, and I think it's important to point out that over 90% of the Red Cross workforce are volunteers. So the people that you see on the streets here in Guam who are providing this disaster relief, the huge, vast majority of these people are volunteers that have come from all over the United States, taken time out of their lives to come and serve the people of Guam. Some things that are happening already that are ramped up and in full operation: disaster emergency supplies. We're distributing those at mobile locations all over Guam. These DES kits contain a shovel, a rake, mops, disinfectants, the things that people need to get their homes cleaned up and get back into their homes as quickly as possible.
When you say mobile, you mean mobile?
Correct.
Mobile sites. Not mobile gas
we
stations.
call them ERVs, emergency response vehicles. So we load these, they're large vans, we load them full of these disaster emergency supply kits, and we go all over Guam and give these to people free of charge.
Is there some sort of qualification? Or?
None.
Okay. So you see one of those, if you have the need, if you have your own shovel and rake, let's not be too greedy here. If you don't have a shovel or rake or mop or disinfectants, then this is the sort of thing for you that you'll be going around the island.
We've been doing that the last few days, and we'll continue to do so.
This is excellent information.
Yeah.
How can people help the Red Cross to feed others and to provide more of these services and products to those in need?
Well, first of all, let me just stress that the Red Cross does not receive in-kind donations, which are donations of goods or clothing or food items. The Red Cross requests that people that want to give and hearts are touched do so by giving cash, in other words, or check, or in other words, money that we can spend.
And where do they bring that?
They can call 1-800-RED-CROSS or go to redcross.org, or there is a local Red Cross office. And so just in the memo of their check, they need to write Typhoon Mawar, and that money will be dedicated to this relief effort.
So on the screen, you have it right there. The American Red Cross's number, 1-800-RED-CROSS.
Yes.
And their website, www.redcross.org. There also is a local office, which is located looks like it's right on the grounds of the Judiciary of Guam, but it's its own property. American Red Cross is just right there. So you can donate so that an organization in the field of 90% of them being volunteers are able to provide more food to people and more services to people. We'll go back to that. Thank you so much, Kim. We'll go back. We have questions for Veronica. One of the questions from the viewers is, what about if it says not approved on our status?
Not approved. They should go to the Disaster Recovery Center. Not quite certain exactly why it wasn't approved. Maybe it might mention that on the eligibility letter. Perhaps it could be, again, some documentation that's still needed. So there's still a lot of phone lines that are down, so maybe calling the 1-800-621-3362 may be challenging, especially with power still being down in some areas. But definitely go see your disaster recovery center. Sit down, talk to somebody one-on-one, have them look at your application, have them walk you through your case and see what's still needed. Also have them interpret the letter as well.
Okay. And again, you said our goal is to get to a yes. That's a pretty important thing for people to understand. Yeah. Is FEMA's not trying to deny people. FEMA's trying to get people the help that they need.
Yes, I mean that's why we have, working with the disaster recovery centers in coordination, with the territory, the governor's office, Guam Homeland Security. We want to, make sure that people understand that we're trying to send out as many resources as we can to get people registered. We have disaster survivor assistance teams that are out canvassing door to door to many of the various villages to register individuals. So they're not just providing a flyer, but they're actually trying to register people while they're out there. Especially for those folks that are hard to reach, perhaps individuals that may not have transportation, those with disabilities. So we're working closely with the mayors, all of the 19 mayors, just to help identify any needs out there within their villages and see how we can better help their community.
This is from another viewer, what are the eligibility for people to qualify with or without income?
With or without income, they could just call, again, if they just register. One of the things that'll happen is when they go through the registration process, it'll take about 20 minutes. If they don't have any income, they'll be referred over to our housing program, which could be repair, replacement of the home. It could be rental assistance in case they cannot live in their home while their home is being repaired. We also have, within that same program, individual assistance. There's also another program we call Other Needs Assistance that could help with medical, dental, funeral, transportation needs as well. So it's basically once you call the 1-800 number and identify what your needs are, what the damages were, it's going to be dependent on what you tell us and what we see when we send out the FEMA inspector within 7 to 10 days after they've made their first application.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I went out of the app and went back into it, and so I lost a whole bunch of your questions. If you can repost your questions into the comment section, if they haven't been answered already, please do, and I'll get these as many as possible as we can. These guys are very busy. They have a lot to do today. Their days do not end until late at night, so we want to get them out of here as quickly as possible and try to answer as many of your questions. Norma and Robert Castro say thank you to all the volunteers, Red Cross, FEMA, SBA, and the CNMI Power teams for helping Guam. How about homeowners association, nonprofit organizations? Can they apply?
Yes, with SBA they can. They're more than welcome to. SBA.gov if they want to do it online, 800-659-2955. If they want to call with questions, or go to the Disaster Recovery Center that are open, one at the Guam Community College and the other one at the Dado Sports Complex, or they can come to the Business Recovery Center if they're a small business and apply there, or a private nonprofit as well. Can I further expand on if they get a declined letter, Troy, from the SBA, they have 3 chances to get an SBA disaster assistance loan. We may decline them for repayment ability, or they may have some derogatory credit. If they can fix that up as quickly as can, they have 6 months, they can still come back to SBA and reapply. And then if there's another decline, they can still come back 30 days later with an appeal. So we give them 3 chances to get that low interest long-term loan to help rebuild and recover from the typhoon.
Excellent.
So
that's awesome.
Just wanted to mention that's for businesses, homeowners, and renters can all do that, eligible for that.
Awesome.
That's great. I think the other day you met with the Hotel Association, as well. So definitely try to get as many businesses as possible to try to register through the Small Business Administration.
Tina Gogo says that she had to have a generator flown in from Saipan. Was there some sort of assistance that she might be eligible for reimbursement of that cost and the cost of the gas or the diesel to run that generator?
As far as reimbursement for generators, I mean, that could maybe be something. Does SBA cover that?
They could apply and with SBA and look into it. I'm not familiar with that. We usually replace the personal property and the primary residence.
If the property was existed
right
at the time
if
of the
it
storm.
existed beforehand, the generator, and it was damaged or destroyed by the typhoon, she could definitely apply with SBA. We could see what we could do. We don't make any decisions here. Loan officers make those decisions, but it doesn't hurt to apply with SBA for that particular expense. Okay.
There is a whole lot of activity here from our viewers asking whether the village of Jigo can be prioritized in terms of some relief effort. I don't know if they're talking about power and water. I'm going to guess this is actually for you.
What I can tell you is this. We have many what we call disaster assessment teams. These are teams of 2 or 3 trained American Red Cross volunteers that go through the neighborhoods, and we're going to cover the entire island, and they go from home to home to home. And we do not cover businesses or commercial things. We just simply cover homes. And they go from home to home, and they assess the damage. They're in the process of doing that now. I was down in the south of the island with one of those teams this morning. That provides us a database whereby then we can target future relief efforts. So what I can say to that question is that we will cover the entire island, and we will assess the damage and make our relief efforts accordingly.
Thank you. There is a couple questions regarding wages. Tina Guzman says, how about loss of wages? My son has not been able to return to work due to no power and water. And Norma and Robert Castro say, what about unemployment assistance for those who were not able to return to work due to the loss of power or water at their place of employment?
So, regarding disaster and employment assistance, I'm not quite sure if Guam actually has.
We don't have an unemployment program, no.
An employment program here. I believe that there's some discussion right now to maybe coordinate that effort here. And if we could, then potentially we do have a program called Disaster Unemployment Assistance. It actually marries regular unemployment. So first you would go through regular unemployment. If you weren't eligible, then you may be eligible under Disaster Unemployment Assistance. If that is turned on, or if that is available, Troy, I'll make sure to get back on the show and
so this
provide
is a
that
state
information.
eligibility issue then, and not an individual. Yeah. Okay. Got it. And lastly, I'm sorry. 2 more. What if a vehicle is still operable but water entered through windows and soaked the seats and carpets? Is that something for assistance? Basically damage to a car.
Yeah, damage to a car. So under our other needs assistance, we may be able to pay for transportation. It has to be the primary vehicle. We may look at a secondary vehicle, if it's essential, but there's also a lot of requirements. One would be it would have to be registered. It would have to have some type of insurance, like even if it was just a primary insurance. Those are the type of things that we're going to look at. So we ask that people just make an application, and we'll look to see what kind of documentation they have for that vehicle.
You guys, go ahead.
And SBA does offer low interest loans for vehicles that were damaged or destroyed in the storm. And one of the great things about that is that it's 2.5% interest for a term up to 30 years, which would make that auto payment very, very low.
Very low.
That's
So,
great.
and they could, of course, pay it off anytime without any prepayment or anything like that. But vehicles are eligible with SBA as well. So we encourage folks to take advantage of that as well.
Okay, so I think we might be getting bogged down in the weeds when a lot of these answers are apply, see us or call us
and ask those questions.
and ask these questions.
Yes.
And but the important thing is apply.
Yes.
And this goes for FEMA and SBA, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And if they had, you asked a really good question about generators. So, it's on a case by case. I mean, I know some states in the mainland we've paid for generators. So I just say like exactly what Kevin said. Just make an application, ask the question, talk about your damages, and let's run through the system to see what you may be eligible for.
And also, it's not necessarily that you've been denied by FEMA in your application. It may very well be. It most likely is the case that so far your application is ineligible. And read further down that letter that you got to see what it is that FEMA wants you to submit in order for your application to be eligible or your
Yeah,
claim to be eligible.
Yes, absolutely. I know that there was, I had got a call from an individual who said, you know what, I wish I would have known that that's what it meant, because I appealed and I didn't need to appeal. I just needed to go to the recovery center and just provide further documentation on proof of ownership. And it was like, oh, what, so definitely read the letter. If you can't interpret it, that's okay. Come to the recovery center. We'll do that for you.
Yeah, and as of this morning, according to Speaker Therese Terlahi, the Disaster Recovery Center over at the Guam Congress Building, just one block away from us here at the DNA Building, there was no line, and the process intake was about 15 minutes, start to finish.
It takes about 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, so
that's great.
Whoever went there this morning, you're lucky.
Yeah,
it was like getting into a gas station without a line last week.
There you go. And we want people to come to recovery centers if they aren't able to make a application. I know that a lot of people are having issues with connectivity, so we do have a phone bank there where people can register.
Excellent. And the same, so the as long as you register, if you go to the Disaster Recovery Center, whether you are an individual or a business, a small business, you're going to get into the system, and you're going to be directed to the services that both FEMA and the SBA provide. So no worries there. And if you want to support people so that they do not go hungry, or so that they have the services and the supplies that they need to get through this disaster, donate to the American Red Cross by calling 1-800-RED-CROSS, going to their website at www.redcross.org, where they have a payment feature, or visit the American Red Cross office here in Hagåtña, right next to the Judiciary of Guam. Thank you, all three of you, so much for your time.
Thanks, Troy.
We really appreciate it. God bless you all. I hope you get more sleep.
Thank you. Welcome us back, because we'd be glad to be on your show anytime.
Thank you for coming. I only called them this morning, and they were like, yeah, we can be there.
And hopefully I'll come back at the next time I come back and have loan approvals. And I can start telling you we're approving loans. Guam residents and businesses are starting to get back up and running.
Yeah, that's a good point. We have 11,886 registration and already dispersed about 429,000 and more coming.
Oh, very good. Very good. Thank you so much. God bless you all. Thank you. For Kandit News, I'm Troy Torres. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Ilinala Ipalawan, Sinyabula, Minaletnya, Agan Bravo, Itatataunya.
Yet cervical cancer continues to pose a constant risk to women today due to low awareness.
Cervical cancer pasiye masek lan matan sa kantilokinyag. Fingom somono, pap smear and HPV vaccination isa na kashing tilokinya.
Dapat ko radil amla mugar. Yago mga laklangar radil. Nagtamare rin mo raw usong ala. Yung raw guru la. Ramak nitalak ka. Rektel umaralir.
Ang mga babaeng may edad 21 pataas ay kailangang magpabaptist kada 3 taon.
Sa dating na sampartua, lari sa kwano, anana na tokin sila ng HPV.
Ewa fesin, todo kuwan foundation. Ato gaya na test, may oposud, ewa semuel HPV. Eri fefire sa rifirifit, iya patufit singyari pagi. Ekari ni sa kao, dari tentu wurud, nanabud, may patsakurel fefil medicine. Kirisam.
Tampakatilin cervical cancer arangan preventna från avefkachusharum movinial mahabiun kotafalaika cervical cancer.
Ara komin matan fokokos.
Be a well woman.
Mga pakla ba dingiw?
Tufna kada pinipin ang raiwege da health rodad.
Piata li kailangan.
Zangin Meggat Itatataunya.
Maging malusog po tayong mga kababaihan.
Take the first step to becoming a well woman and call Todu Guam Clinic today at 671-649-TODU to schedule an appointment.
bottom line is we're going to make you a better person. You're going to be healthier and fitter than you were before.